What is going on, everyone? Are you sick of the big city? Want to find a nice rural town, get a mortgage, and live the American dream, or just retire away from the big city? Who doesn't, right? Today we're looking at great rural towns in Florida. Florida is an interesting state. It has some great cities, fun things to do, and a bunch of crime-infested backwood towns that should be avoided by anyone not in the alligator trades. Those lame small rural towns created a big problem creating this list. Great small towns were hard to find in Florida. Now, to be totally transparent, Florida isn't a total mess. When you compare their big cities to other states with similar sized cities, they aren't that bad. Miami does have some crime, just like all cities, but it has amazing food, amazing beaches, and a bunch of entertainment. Tampa is a solid coastal city, along with Fort Myers and St. Pete, and then you have Orlando, which has far too much stuff to do. Like I said in the other videos, I normally do top 10 lists, but not all states have 10 good rural towns, and I don't want to waste your time with some towns that are pretty much a reach just to get to 10. Besides the crime in their small towns, a lot of their small towns are really attached to a metro area, so that kind of knocks them off this list. The focus of this series is rural towns. That normally implies it's a good distance outside a metro area. With the towns in these videos, we're looking for that sweet spot, a decent place to live that isn't too close to any major cities, it's easy on the crime rate, and it's not 5 hours away from any kind of healthcare. And they also can't have horrible internet. Those are the requirements for these videos, and those are the things that also knocked a lot of small towns off this list. In Florida, we found 5 for this, which I believe is the lowest we've gotten so far. All right, let's take a look. Number 5, Blountstown, Florida. Blountstown sits about an hour west of Tallahassee in the Florida Panhandle. This is a quiet, rural Florida town that sits near the Apalachicola River. This is a great town if you like to fish, by the way. The river is right there, and I've watched some videos where people pulled huge catfish out of the water there. Blountstown was originally named for a Creek Indian chief who had been given the land by Andrew Jackson for aiding Jackson in his battle against other Native Americans. Today, the city's primarily known as the home of the Calhoun Correctional Institute, which sits just south of town. This place, Florida's always going to be getting hurricanes, and different parts of the state get hit all the time, so it's not like you gotta worry every single year that your house is gonna get blown over, but it does happen. On October 10th, 2018, Blountstown was hit by a Category 5 hurricane. It was Hurricane Michael. It struck town and just about destroyed this place. If a hurricane does hit, good news, they got some medical care in town. They have Calhoun Liberty Hospital and a few other clinic type places. Calhoun Liberty Hospital has an emergency room 24 hours a day, all that. It's not the biggest thing because this is a small town, but it looks like it could do the job for just about anything. Anything past what they can offer you, you got to go into Tallahassee about an hour away. So when it comes to healthcare, Blountstown gets a thumbs up. Blountstown only has a population of about 2,500 residents, and they got a crime rate that is 25% lower than the national average. So they get a thumbs up when it comes to their crime rate because Florida, in general, has a pretty high crime rate in most small towns, like I said at the beginning of this video. When it comes to real estate, they get another thumbs up there too. They have a few homes right now that are going for $150,000 to $200,000, and they look decent. You might have to do a little bit of work, but they are livable, and there's something to have. In the last few months, January, February, March, they had sold other homes around $300,000 to $400,000 that were really nice. So they get a thumbs up for real estate. Now, where they drop the ball is their internet. They don't have the best options. They have HughesNet and Viastat, whatever. That's satellite internet, which I don't advise to anyone, but they have one called Consolidated, which is DSL, that covers 100% of the town, and that only offers 50 Mbps. That's not the best. Like I've been saying, gig is normally the standard. In rural areas, 100 Mbps is pretty much the standard. So they get a faded thumbs up for internet. They have it. It's not only satellite, but it's not the best. One interesting thing I did learn about Blountstown, this is where Corn Griffin was born. Corn Griffin was a boxer who fought James Braddock. If you ever see the movie Cinderella Man, he was one of the boxers that James Braddock beat on his late in the career march to the championship. Number 4, Frostproof, Florida. Frostproof is a small town with a very interesting name in central Florida, sandwiched between two lakes. They got Lake Clinch to the west and Reedy Lake to the east. Again, if fishing's your thing, this could be your town. If you want to find it on the map, it's about an hour and a half east of Tampa. The settlement in this area was established in 1850, and it was originally a fort. This is how most of Central Florida towns got their start. This one in particular was called Fort Clinch. The settlement and Fort Clinch were abandoned after only a few months of people being there. Then in the 1880s, Frostproof began seeing its first permanent settlers as homesteaders that were attracted here because of all the fishing and hunting. The name Frostproof was a marketing ploy to convince potential landowners that the town has never had and never would have any frost that could destroy their citrus crops. They spoke too soon. Only a couple years after naming it Frostproof, they had the Great Freeze of 1895 that killed most of the citrus in the area. I guarantee the clown that decided to call it Frostproof, or the one that suggested in the first place, was run out of town. They got a little over 3,000 residents living there right now, and they have a crime rate that's 37% lower than the national average. They get a thumbs up for that. When it comes to healthcare, they got a couple family clinics and, family practices. They also have the Central Florida Healthcare. Frostproof is here in town. Anything major, you're going to have to head up to Lake Wales, about 20 minutes north, where they've got legit hospitals up there. So they get a thumbs up for that because 20 minutes is not that far away. Realistically, if you know anyone from Florida that lives in the backwoods, that's really a 7-minute drive. The way those people drive there is alarming sometimes. When it comes to internet, no problems there. They got Xfinity offering 1 gig to about 98% of the town. They also have Frontier that covers about 75% of the town, offering 150 Mbps. So they get a thumbs up for internet. It's good to see a rural town have gig internet. When it comes to real estate, pretty reasonable here. If you want to get something livable that probably needs a little work, you're looking around $220,000. When you get up to about $250,000, it's going to be okay. Realistically, if you want something nice, you're looking at about $320,000 on up. Right now, they have some lakefront property going for $650,000. Give you an idea, if this was lakefront property anywhere in California, it would probably be $1.5 million. They got a lot to choose from right now, including some newer homes that are going up. So plenty of stuff on the market in different ranges. So they get a big thumbs up for real estate. Number 3, High Springs, Florida. High Springs is a small town about 30 minutes northwest of Gainesville. High Springs was a town that popped up in the early 1880s when the train came this way. They also had mining in the area, so the town was settled pretty fast. This town has had a few different names. First, it was Santa Fe, spelled Santaffy. Not even kidding. Once someone came to town that could spell and knew their way around a dictionary, they pointed out that they needed to change the name to the proper spelling before everyone in town grew a mullet. So they did. They changed it to the proper spelling of Santa Fe. Unable to escape the jokes from the earlier spelling, I guess, they changed the name again to Orion. A couple years after that, someone said, why don't we change the name? Orion's too hard to spell, and we're really not even sure if we're spelling it properly since the dude with the dictionary left. So they decided to go with Springs. Not sure where the high came from, but now it's High Springs. High Springs is a great place to live. They only have a population of 2,500 residents that enjoy a crime rate that's 45% lower than the national average. They get a big thumbs up for crime rate. When it comes to internet, they get another big thumbs up. They got Cox offering 1 gig to 99% of the town. They also got Kinetic giving DSL at a gig, they say, and that covers 99% of the town as well. When it comes to healthcare, they have a few family practices and a couple doctors in town, so that's kind of nice. It's not a terribly big place, but you're gonna have to go to Gainesville if you need anything major like emergency room type stuff. So they get a thumbs up for that too, because they're not too far away. To real estate, you got a lot of options here. There's about 8 places available right now, starting off at about $185,000, which is a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. Doesn't look bad, looks livable, all the way up to one that's about $500,000 on the outskirts of town, and everything in between. $225 looks decent, $245. So they get a thumbs up for real estate because they got a lot to choose from. Number 2, Bristol, Florida. Back up to the Panhandle we go. Right across the river from Bluntstown, we have the town of Bristol. Bristol is a small town of about 1,100 residents, and it also sits on the Apalachicola River. Bristol is another one of those water tower towns that I seem to like for some reason. They also have, what's really cool, one of their parks, they have one of those little railroads that you take the kids on, you could ride. It goes around the park. I like little unique things for communities like that. That's always something that's special for anyone that grew up in a town like that. that. I love that. This town's about 50 minutes west of Tallahassee, or 25 minutes if you learn to drive from a Floridian dad. According to a lawyer back in the 1950s or so, this area was the site of the biblical Garden of Eden. Yeah, he also thought that he found some wood left over from Noah's Ark. Yeah, just rowing around in the backwoods of Florida, come across some wood from the Ark. Happens all the time. The crime rate in Bristol is outstanding. It's 56% lower than the national average, so they get a big thumbs up for that. Where they kind of suck is their internet. They have Consolidated, which gives them 50 Mbps for 99% of the town. 50 Mbps, that you can get your work done. It's just not great, so they get a faded thumbs up for that. When it comes to healthcare, they also kind of get a faded thumbs up because they do have a clinic and a doctor in town. Also, you have over there in Bluntstown right across the way, and they got the Calhoun County Hospital, which is good size and should be able to take care of anything you need. Anything they can't, you got Tallahassee 50 minutes to the east. They also get a thumbs up for real estate. I mean, they have 4 things for sale right now that are decent. Your starting money, you're going to want to look at something at least $200,000. That's where it starts, and it goes all the way up to $400,000. They had some outstanding places sell earlier this year for like $250,000 to $300,000, and they were great. Nice places ready to move in. So like I said, big thumbs up for that also. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. Head on over, watch some videos, subscribe, give some videos big thumbs up. There's a link down below. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Disney World. Just kidding. Keystone Heights, Florida. Keystone Heights is a small rural town of about 1,500 residents, about 30 minutes east of Gainesville on Lake Geneva. Not the Swiss-French Lake Geneva, the Florida one. Yeah, Wisconsin has one too. This is another town if you like everything to do with water. Fishing, boating, whatever you want to do, you could do it around here. You could also live on the cheap. Cost of living here is 12% lower than the national average, which is outstanding. Their crime rate is even better. It's 62% lower than the national average. They get a giant thumbs up for that one. You know what else they get a giant thumbs up for? Internet. They got Xfinity there that covers 99.9% of the town, and they get 1 gig there. They have a couple other options there, but none of them go above 50 Mbps. When it comes to healthcare, Keystone Heights is outstanding. They've got a couple family practices. They also have an urgent care, a dentist. They're good to go. Anything else you need past all that, you got Gainesville right down the road, and they can cover everything. So they get a thumbs up for healthcare too. When it comes to real estate, they do a pretty good job of having everything from $129,000 for a house you probably don't want, but might take anyway, all the way up to like $700,000. But I'd say if you want something decent in Keystone Heights, you're probably looking at about $300,000. Somewhere in that area will get you someplace nice, and it might even be on their golf course. Yeah, this place has homes for about $320,000 on a golf course. So they get a big thumbs up for that one. Originally, Keystone Heights was called Brooklyn because they have a little lake there called Lake Brooklyn, so they just called it Brooklyn. This is a great place to live, especially if you want to have that small town vibe for a while, because since 1990, they've only gained 100 residents. I think it's going to continue to stay under 2,000 for quite some time. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.